All right, surprise card reveal. Headmaster Kel'Thuzad coming out of nowhere. We got one other card as well. This is pretty crazy.
Hey, buddy, watch this.
Yeah, so let's get right into it. A new neutral legendary revealed seemingly in the middle of the night. It's Headmaster Kel'Thuzad, 5 mana, 4/6. Spell burst. If the spell destroys any minions, summon them. So we have here a card with just absurd potential to swing the board. Basically, any kind of AoE effect that you can combine with this card, any kind of big single target removal. You're not only going to get a 4/6 body on board, which isn't too bad, but also potentially you're going to just take everything of your opponent's. So imagine cards like Shadow Word Ruin. If your opponent has, a few 8/8s on board, boom, their 8/8s are gone from Shadow Word Ruin, and guess what? Now you summon a bunch of 8/8s for yourself. Or even dial it back, like Breath of the Infinite. I don't know why we're going to Priest, but that's where we are. Your opponent's a Demon Hunter with a bunch of like 2 health stuff. You wipe their board of 2 health things, you summon them all yourself instead, creating just ridiculous on-board swings. You've also got like cheap options like Shadow Word Death. Just hit that single 8/8, and this is still absurd. Kind of like a cheap 5 mana mind control in a way, death rattles and effects aside. So a pretty crazy card in a lot of different environments. Basically, anybody who can use a spell to efficiently remove something is going to be able to get some absurd tempo out of Headmaster Kel'Thuzad, really flipping games. Taking rush minions, any kind of bonus effects like death rattles scales this even more. So pretty crazy potential on this one. And in a world where we have Zephrys generating Shadow Word Ruins and Shadow Word Deaths like crazy, almost any Highlander deck might be able to play this, but certainly anything that's already running control spells like maybe Highlander Mage or certainly any kind of Priest right now would love this. You could also envision it in things like Rogue, Hunter, etc. So seemingly has a lot of potential homes and could fit into Highlander decks especially well, I think. Now, that said, there are a few downsides to this card. I don't think it's like perfect. Namely, you have to combine it with another card. Sometimes that's a little bit of a struggle when it takes 2 pieces to make something really important happen. I can also imagine just needing the right kind of board state to make this feel especially good. If your opponent has, stuff that doesn't die to your removal very efficiently, or maybe your removal is only killing one kind of medium-sized thing, it might feel kind of weird to spend 5 mana and find the right moment for this. So I could picture a few turns here and there where this is kind of stuck in hand and dead. Not to mention, it's going to be resolved for later in the game, or reserved for later in the game. As a 5 mana card, you have to combine it with something unless you're just happy to backstab. So we're probably thinking turns 7, 8, 9, 10 for this one to really shine, which is pretty late in the game for a legendary to make an impact. Although, of course, there are plenty that do that just fine. And I think the effect here is big enough to make up for that speed downside. So I still really like the card, but it's not all roses. It's not totally perfect, just really, really strong in the right scenarios. So Headmaster Kel'Thuzad, it looks great. It looks very, very powerful. It is a one-time effect with Spell Burst. Don't forget that. So it's not going to scale like crazy. It's not going to completely take over games, but for that one big turn swing right now, there's a lot of cards that do that in Hearthstone that succeed a ton, and I see no reason Headmaster Kel'Thuzad wouldn't fall right in line there as yet another very powerful swing card for the game. So next up here, we also have a Mage spell called Combustion. It's a 3 mana Mage spell. It deals 4 damage to a minion, and then any excess damage goes to both neighbors. So if you hit a 1/1 with Combustion, that's 3 damage excess. That means you'd hit the neighbors for 3 each. So a pretty cool spell that actually benefits more from hitting a smaller thing as its core target, because you're able to double that excess damage. Whereas if you hit like a 3/3, the adjacents are only going to take 1 damage each because that's the excess amount. So a pretty cool kind of reverse positioning compared to what we're normally used to with cards like Betrayal or Explosive Shot or whatever else. And I like cards like that. Really strategically rewarding, makes you think a lot about how you're positioning things. That's great for the game. Also, I think this is a really solid card. It has the kind of Shadow Bolt base level that has been proven to be fine in Hearthstone. Sometimes you're totally okay spending a few mana to clear one of those medium-sized threats in the game. 5 would probably be a really nice break point, but 4 is still sufficient to hit all those 3 health minions out there. And there's a lot of like 2/4s and stuff lingering around. So base level, it's great. And then the upside can make some really nice things happen too, particularly in a world with lackeys, because there's a lot of 1/1s laying around next to other medium-sized things. Think about like a Faceless Lackey. It's a 1/1 that summons a 2-drop. This would be great at helping you fully resolve those kinds of boards. So yeah, of course, Combustion makes a ton of sense. Does a Highlander Mage run this? Maybe. But certainly we've got some Spell Mage stuff lingering around that this could fit nicely into, and it's probably cheap enough that a Tempo Mage kind of line could also play this in the future as well, even if we don't anticipate that right now. It would be a little better at maybe the 2 mana slot there, but still, I know that as I've built Tempo Mage decks, sometimes I want slightly more expensive spells that aren't secrets, and this slots in really nicely into that. So I absolutely think this card is solid. It looks like another card that could see plenty of play. Kel'Thuzad is a 5-star card. Combustion is a 4-star card. And there you go, folks. That is it. Just 2 cards this time around, but some pretty crazy ones. I'm particularly curious what you guys think about Kel'Thuzad. It's, to me, a hard one to assess. I like it a lot because it can do crazy things, but I'm still a tad hesitant that it might be awkward in hand. It might get stuck. It might be hard to use. So what do you think? Which do you think it's going to be? Absolutely insane, or maybe a little bit more mediocre? I'm very, very curious to hear your thoughts. But, it's one of those cards where it's like, it's the star of the expansion. I'm going to default to it being good. Hopefully Blizzard's like, man, we're going to make the star of the expansion a powerful card. So I'm almost biasing myself up a little bit in my review score to accommodate that fact. I really think this is probably like a 4.5-star card if we did half-star reviews, which I don't. I don't think it's quite a full 5. Feels like a 4.5 to me, but nonetheless, pretty cool card. So share your thoughts, of course, down in the comments below. Thanks much, as always, for watching, and until next time, game on.